That's a curious spot.
I think maybe when I was playing where's the F minor, the number
Yeah.
9, there's that 2-measure passage with a lot of ornamentation.
Yeah.
One thing I sort of figured out was the tendency not to start right at
At the moment that
that it should start. Yeah.
is that just a hesitancy sort of thing?
Well, I just think it's habit, and then I figured out, well, if I started on the beat, it kind of works out a little bit better.
This is good.
But these, for example, this one, I can get these okay. They're just not very clean.
This part, that part's clear. What's not clear is the da 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 is not in the rhythm you think it is. I mean, in the beat. Let's see. Brum, ba, ba, bum. Brum, ba, ba, bum. See, you're coming in too soon with the C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's it. Da 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 da.
Oh, okay.
And don't disconnect the last note of the trill from the first of the 2 written notes. That should solve some of your difficulty.
Okay.
It's not what you think.
Yeah.
It's one of
Never is.
Well, it's the hard part about teaching, especially, I didn't have this problem when I was much younger because I didn't know quite as much. But now, when I hear a student play the piece, like I just took in what you did, my mind immediately jumps to, we should work on this aspect, and this aspect. Oh, but the student wants to work on the ornamentations. What the hell do you do?
Yeah. Well, no, you're in charge.
Oh, I know that, but I don't like leaving people's questions unanswered.
Yeah.
What occurred to me... So you want to know what felt off to me in the performance? Something you probably never think of. The balance of loudness between the 2 voices in each hand. They were never quite balanced. Now, if you just played, for instance, let's say you played that F with that D together, you would automatically balance them. Almost, not quite. Yeah, that's a better balance. It's a subtle thing. But that's the balance that was missing as a general thing.
Okay.
And it's not something you normally do, by the way. It was just happening today, so I said...
Okay.
And I think if you do that, the piece will come out differently and more to your liking.
Yeah. I guess maybe what I was trying to...
See, what I'm hearing is that the left hand doesn't sound at all like it's in the same piece as now you just fixed it.
Because it was...
Too louder, too different.
It wasn't loud enough, or?
It was actually a little too loud for the right hand, but it wasn't a question of loudness. It was a question of the left hand just felt it was doing its own thing. Leave me alone, I'll play my notes. Don't ask me to do this balancing thing. I'm personifying the note, not you. In other words, that hand doesn't want to be bothered with having to balance each note with the right hand.
Well, I guess maybe what I was trying to voice them, instead of trying to voice them fairly evenly, maybe I was trying to bring out one voice more than the other and kind of moving that dynamic range between the 2 voices. And maybe that was just too accentuated.
That could well be. When you have just 2 voices, there's not really too much you have to do to bring out one or the other.
Okay.
I mean, we've gone away from the style. I mean, up to the 60s was every time the main theme comes in, make sure you accentuate that so the listener knows you're playing the theme. But more modern thinking, as far as I can tell, is that everything's a theme. The main theme is a theme. The subsidiary theme is a theme. The tertiary theme is a theme.
So if you try to really bring it out, it sounds kind of, what's the word? Sort of
I'll show you a trick.
stilted, or
A little bit. Let me show you something that we probably went over at some point, but I have the problem like that. I think people.
Leaving. I'll see you next Wednesday. And
Oh, you're all done.
yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I did everything I could do for the time I was here.
Thanks.
So,
Thank you so much, Sue.
You're welcome.
Especially today.
by.
all right, bye. Nice meeting you, Mike.
So let's take this entrance. Da, 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 dee, da, dum. The way I make sure the listener knows that's the theme is by taking these notes in the other voice and playing them not as an ascending series of notes, but as if I was going da 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 dee da dee da dum. I'm actually giving to these notes not the shape that it looks like pitch-wise when you trace it, the pitches on the paper, but more like it was trying to play this. Da, 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 dee. Da 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 dee da 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 dee dum dee da dee dum. So I'm trying to play this as if it thinks it too, TOO, is playing this melody. Then you've got everything that's there note-wise in the piece, all two voices, conspiring together to bring out the shape of. Now, that's a lot more work than saying, that's the theme, let's play it louder. And, you know, I have no, what do you call it, emotional investment as to what you choose to do. I just want to present you with that possibility.
Okay. Okay.
See, to me, your theme is coming out exquisitely clearly now. I have no trouble hearing the theme. Sometimes I'll use the trick of playing the left-hand part in the right hand also. Literally play the same notes an octave higher, so that you. Especially the beginning of the theme, the da 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 dee da da. That part. Da, 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 da. So now the right hand feels like it's perfectly normal to play the pitch shape of the left hand. So now if you just go back and play all the written notes, it should carry. Dum, dum, da, da, dum.
Okay.
3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. Yes. How does that appeal to you?
I like it. No, it feels good. Yeah,
Okay.
I like that. You know, and one of the things, it's interesting, I like the idea of connecting the trill to the next note. And I don't know why, maybe I was breaking it because there was a suggestion years ago on, which one was it? What did they use? I think it was 15. But okay, so it does sound.
It's something we all fail to do. It's not like this is peculiar to you. I'm constantly reminding myself that when you have a long note followed by a short note, you want to make sure you connect the end of the sound of the long note to the beginning of the sound of the short note. Otherwise, you think there's some sort of break there. And it's not just there. It's any place where you have like a legato phrase that starts with a long note tied to some sixteenths or eighths.
Well, some people, I guess one teacher I had a while ago was suggesting on Bach to play portato. You know,
That's
I mean, and break all the notes and
well, that's fine. But you're doing it to all the notes.
Yeah.
So if every note is like that, then it sounds consistent. It's in the broader figurative sense, it's still legato because things are hanging together.
I see.
I mean, legato as a general term means a sense of connection.
Yeah.
That transcends whether the notes are held, staccatoed, portatoed, or anything else.
Well,
Potato.
right. Well, yeah. Okay.
It's a
Right,
sense
so
of connection.
It's a sense of connection, but I guess that's interesting. I mean, I always thought that legato was really connected,
And
this
that
this could
doesn't
be-
sound legato, by the way. That's a little more legato. What? Actually, if you think of this, dum, ta-dum, ta-dum, ta-dum. It's what you do at the end of the note. No? Let the note crescendo into the next note. Dum, dum, dum. That's getting closer to it.
So it can.
No?
So it's actually the.
That's better. Right. It's based on an illusion. Because if what you were doing, and quite sensibly, was you were listening to this note die away and then played this note a little softer.
Right.
You followed the decrescendo of the note. But if you want a connection, that implies that there is no decrescendo in the sound.
Right.
Which is a physical impossibility. But we catch the end of it and think, dum, dum.
Okay.
And similarly for portato, staccato, and all of those things. I don't know why I'm enjoying saying that so much. That's it. Okay, so now just balance your two hands. They're not quite in your usual balance. No accents. So what was the latest note you accented? There was one in the left hand that you did.
Oh.
Probably because you were concerned about the right hand at that
I'm
moment.
not even sure.
It was that B, C, D.
Okay. So try to.
That's even. Yeah. Balance your hands. That's it. Now, did you hear yourself? You clipped a D there. And that C was almost too loud, but not as bad as the last time. They happen when we're not thinking that we need to be consistent.
Yeah. Well, and also when I have a ornamentation in my right hand, the left hand sometimes loses its rhythm. Loses the tempo. You know,
Right, or in this case, made a sudden accent that it didn't even know it was making.
Right, yeah, and it's hard to, so the way you correct that is just practice it without the ornamentation.
Ignorance of the law is not an excuse, as the judge would say. It's really this very difficult thing, maybe the most difficult thing about playing piano as a professional, as an accomplished musician, is that we can always summon up the concentration to listen at times.
Yeah.
But the professional is doing it 95% of the time. Us mortals are doing it 75% of the time. So a lot skips through that we don't hear. Problem is, the listener hears it. The listener doesn't even know. I mean, I would know if I were listening that, oh, he played the C too loud. All the listener says, I don't know, that performance just has moments that just don't feel as smooth. I want that same smoothness to go through the whole thing. So, having said this, these are impossible demands. But we
Well,
strive in that direction.
Yeah. Okay. It's kind of like open your ears.
Open your ears, but then don't assume just because they're open, you're going to hear everything. That's why one of the exercises I do with younger students is have them play a note and keep listening to it, but not just in a sense of constantly listening to it. Now listen again to it. Now listen again to it. Now listen again to it. You are renewing the act of hearing. And when you do that, there's almost an illusion in the ear that the note gets momentarily a little louder again. At the moment you add that, it's like a yellow magic marker underlined to something. So that's a very basic exercise to help defeat. You know, if you listen to the beginnings of the sounds, that's okay, but it's better to listen to the middle of the sounds. Yeah.
You see?
Yeah, I know what you're going to say about the one hand distracting the other.
Well, it was just not even. When I played that trill, and that time I slowed it down a little bit.
But if you felt like on the left hand where you played the F there, if you don't feel like you're playing a single note, but you feel like you're going, just add a vibration in there. Then both hands are making the trill. That's the idea. You're not really playing the trill in the left hand, but your left hand is saying, come on, I'm going to help you, right hand. My left hand's going to help my right hand. You don't have to do that trill by yourself. I can feel it here somehow. You even see pianists sometimes doing a vibrato or something.
Right.
It does absolutely nothing sonically, except it may keep the two hands together.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like the ladder that's missing certain, is it the rung, the thing, the cross piece? It's just like the ladder that's missing a few pieces. We constantly want to exchange gluons between both sides of it. So let's get that rhythm. Da, 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 dum, dum, ba, ba, bum. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Not yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's almost it. 1, 2, 3. Ba, ba, ba. Almost. Let's do it this way. Play this. Hold that for a while, and then play da 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 in the speed you think it should go for the tempo. That's good. And that was perfect, actually. That's fine. We solved it. Almost. See, it's good to just stop there for a minute.
Okay.
And then, can I go on with these three notes in the same tempo I played before? That's it. You just reoriented yourself. You took a little look backwards to get the speed in order to look forwards.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you horribly today.
No, that's good. No, this is good. No problem. Okay.
Would the noise of the air conditioner or the coolness from the air conditioner bother you at all?
Turn it on. It's fine with me. No problem.
That's better. helps the trill hand. That's it. Good. That's the first time you've got that da-da-da in at the right time.
First time I got that. Oh, well, yeah, you see, I mean, that's, yeah, I think that's maybe been the problem with this measure was because the rhythm was a little off. So, okay. Well, let's see.
So I'm just going to summarize the main points of today's spiel.
Yeah.
So number one, balance between the hands.
Okay.
If you want to play one hand louder than the other for a didactic purpose of showing it's a theme, it's fine, but there's an alternative way of doing it, such as trying to shape the accompanying hand with the same pitch shape as the theme. And then number two was, we started with ornaments. And I just made a brief comment that everything in this piece, that's, I can turn that into an ornament. I just have to. All of it could be an ornament. All of it is conceived as an ornament, except that you're looking at a more macro distance rather than a more micro distance. So, and you're saying, well, what do I do with it? And the answer is that you do the same thing you would do with the notes if they were slower. You would phrase them the same. They're just embedded one inside the other, like those Russian Kachinka dolls or whatever. And then the last thing we did was the concept of legato versus literally playing legato, and the basic paradox that this is getting softer. So if you play the second note softer, it's not going to sound legato because you actually gave in to the decrescendo. But if you replace it in your mind with pick up the end of the sound and carry it, yes. That's nice. Almost. It's what you do in that last split second. And don't mistake motion in the hand as being the sonic yeah, you can do any sort of motion you want here, but ultimately it's what you do in the ear at the last moment of the E. That's legato. Almost. That's nice.
Okay.
Ooh, we got off on a good tangent today.
Fine tuning, yes.
But you seem to be okay with that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, because I'm sort of a perfectionist, That's
Perfect.
That's my,
I mean, not perfect. It's just,
so let me think.
did you do that one at the last group?
Well, I didn't come to that obviously because you were there, the last adult piano.
Oh, not that one, but the group before.
I did play this, and I played it a lot better than the first time, but I still kind of wasn't solid. Some of the rhythms were interesting, but let me try one more time, see how this goes.
That's just fine, Michael. Excellent. I didn't mean to stop you. I just wanted to give you feedback before the end of the piece.
Yeah, I think it's I'm a little too quick. I'm playing it just a shade too fast.
But in making it work.
But I'm not comfortable with that.
That actually sounds less connected than when you did it slightly fast. Sounds like what Chopin would have done 10 years after his death. That's just fine.
Okay.
Now, it's possible that when you're playing in front of people, rather than tracking the piece microsecond at a time through each second, things come in from the outside.
Exactly.
And that's what's going to break the
I lose
legato.
my focus, and then I lose my focus. Not only breaks the legato, it just breaks the whole piece.
Okay.
And then I get lost, and I
So
lose it.
really what you need, and if not with Barry, then with somebody else,
Right.
is playing in front of each other where the others, try to throw you off course until you get so used to people kibitzing from the side that you just don't pay any attention to it anymore.
I'm going to get this book called 10-Minute Toughness, which I'm going to order it today. It was recommended by Golf Pro, because I'm into golf as much
Does
as
it
I
lead to
am. Yeah.
tension at all in the physically?
10-Minute Toughness?
Yeah.
No, it's written by a sports psychologist, and it has to do with performance anxiety.
Oh, great.
So let me get it and read it.
Let me know if it works, because I can pass it on to at least 20 other people I know.
It's written by this guy. It was probably written 10 years ago. And I think he was the sports psychologist for the St. Louis Cardinals baseball team. And it sounds like, from what Willie was telling me, it sounds like it's 10 minutes a day. It sounds like more like meditation and visualization. It's
Probably good, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And it's more how to not choke, essentially. How to perform under pressure without the anxiety aspect coming in and throwing you off. And in golf is very similar to piano. It's you and the instrument, which is the club.
And the slightest, 1/100th of an inch off the muscle.
Angles, yeah, it's hard. The club's going through a long arc. It's very precise, and it's similar to piano in the sense that the ball's just sitting there, so you have a lot of time to tighten up, or lose your focus, or whatever. Just allow the outside influences and allow the result, the end game, to come in and screw up the present.
Got it.
And it's sort
Totally
of
get it.
yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I'm gonna, I'm gonna read that.
Let me know.
Because a lot of it, is just relaxation. I hadn't touched the keyboard for since Saturday night. I just said I needed a break. My arm was kind of bothering me, so things came up. So I just stayed away from it. And this morning, I sat down for a while, and I noticed how, which is what I figured out in my golf game the last month or so, is if I can just really relax and let the tension go out of my shoulders, let the tension go out of my hands, arm, neck,
So you can be
face,
yourself.
and everything. How it's a lot easier and more fun to hit the golf ball, because the tendency to go a lot straighter and a lot further, because you're swinging the club.
Two good things.
Everything is kind of loose, so the club is releasing. And in piano, what I noticed this morning was the sound is a little bit different. So that's something I'm going to try and
That's wonderful,
work on
Michael.
more too. Just try.
Bravo.
There's a different tension.
Keep me posted on this. This is very interesting to me.
I'll get this book. It's kind of an interesting.
You made the sheet relax.
So I was going to play this. We have another group on Memorial Day, as far as I know, assuming enough people decide to show up a week from Monday. So I was going to play this, and I think if I can just, let my body
Okay,
go.
so take this gesture you're making and think of this gesture as meaning, if I can just let my body go.
Right.
And now just feel like you're making that gesture. Just go to the piano.
Yeah.
And just imagine with your eyes closed that you're making that gesture and saying, if just I could keep my body, what was your term, relaxed? Or
Relaxed. Loose. Because a lot of this pain I'm having in this arm.
Comes at the piano? I wrote that down.
No, it's not at the piano. It's years of holding my shoulder. Holding
Are you
my
right-handed?
shoulder. Yeah.
So you use the instruments and
Well, it's not just dentistry, it's living, and it's probably a lot of subconscious stuff from childhood. So it's a kind of a defensive posture, you know, and like it's a defensive posture, and it's something that I'm becoming aware of a lot more regularly. And so it's allowing things to open up. I'm doing exercises to try to open this up, but a lot of it is kind of it's just awareness. It's
I'm still working on it, you know. I mean,
always.
I keep thinking I'll lose weight when I finally come to terms with things.
Well, you do all you can do is
the best you can.
You do the best you can, and you try and. So on something like this, you know, and I can feel things releasing, but it takes time. So.
You're certainly on the right track.
Yeah.
And this was played very beautifully. And one thing, I don't know what the other musicians there are like, but would they understand this idiom of Scriabin, which is both dissonant and very emotional at the same time?
Oh, I don't care if they do or not.
Okay, because you may sense a lack of connection with the audience based on a lack of comprehension. But you're not doing anything other than making it totally comprehensible to me when you play it.
Well, I think if you make it comprehensible to the performer,
it should be.
Then it's going to project, right? Shouldn't it? I mean,
I think
it's
so.
clear in my mind. You might not agree with the interpretation.
No, that's my belief too. If you're thinking it, somebody else is thinking it. If you're playing in a relaxed way, somebody out there says there's something relaxy or flowy about it. Not literally. It's not like I'm playing this passage as if I ate a ham sandwich a half hour ago. Now, I really want you guys to get that this interpretation is influenced by my personal emotional history of having eaten that ham sandwich. I want you to be able to taste the mustard I used.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. So on here, there's kind of a lyrical sadness to it. Okay?
Yes.
And I'm not sure if that's what Scriabin wanted because of the tempo marking, or if he wanted to have, if I should be working more on some of these dissonances, which are really powerful throughout the piece.
I think whatever you're doing right now is fine.
Okay.
And that includes the choice of tempo. It is quite conceivable that another artist could achieve all the same emotional transmutations in a faster tempo or in a slower tempo than you're doing. But you've got the tempo right now, since you're performing, you're not trying to practice it for 10 years from now at Carnegie Hall or something. You're doing it in a way where your emotions are free to evolve in tandem with the sounds.
Yeah, you know, there was one thing you said a couple of lessons ago, which was, I thought, very helpful.
Yeah.
Was to play it at a tempo that allows you to express it and not be, you know, play it at too fast a tempo where you're fighting it and worried about, you know, the notes and getting things right.
That got translated, by the way, by Barry and Betty as you were explaining to them how important it is to play slowly. And I said, I think you're sort of missing the point of what he was trying to say. That he slowed himself down. You're slowing yourself down so that your consciousness can evolve instant to instant with the piece.
Right. So you can exactly. You know, and it's not going to run away from you, and then you lose it. But I think part of the challenge is when you perform it for a group is the tendency, of course, is to play a little faster, I think, you know, and so you have to sort of
start slower.
Get
That's
that,
true.
Get that, you know, maybe get an internal metronome going or something. But the adrenaline is going to push that internal metronome up, thinking it's a slow tempo where it's actually faster than what you think is slow.
Yes. Can we try an experiment?
Sure.
Put your hands in your lap, close your eyes, and feel like you're moving all the muscles that are required and in the order required to play the first measure of this piece. Have the actual sensations occur. Mirror neurons.
Yeah. That's hard.
It's very hard.
for me, yeah. And is that an indication of how well you know the piece?
No, it's just something that works for some people to get them set up before they even start playing the piece. So you're not in this state where you're aware of the audience or you're worried about how it will start. You simply start the piece. Even if you have to start it 2 or 3 times in your imagination, just feel the muscles. I mean, if you just did this with your arm, let's say, and now, if you close your eyes and just feel the sensations of the muscles, you can feel that whether or not the arm's actually moving that distance or not. It can take longer and longer to do it, and you'll still feel the motion being continuous. So that's the type of imaginary motions, as if you were playing the piece. And if you can't do that, who cares? It's just one of a bag of tricks of things to do that can help starting a piece.
Yeah.
And it may hurt rather than help, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think the challenge that I'm also having to deal with, you know, my whole piano career is to get out of the visual on the notes. You know, I'm stuck on the page. You know, I'm stuck on the sheet music instead of. And it might be easier for me if in starting the piece, hear that.
That's fine. You can do that. I mean, some people are simply embarrassed to make gestures
Well,
in the air.
I'm just thinking about hearing the
Yes.
the music.
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah. So I've got to play with these different ideas.
You know, it's a shame for such a musical poet as yourself to get hindered by the visual.
I know.
What a shame, because
I know. It's because
not who you are.
And it was
Deep
something.
down.
Yeah, and it was partly, I suppose, if there's more music around the house as a child, I think that it develops that ear, you know, and we just didn't have that much music in the house. There wasn't a lot of singing, you know, and when I did play piano, the teacher never really said, well, sing that little, you know, tune or something. So that memory, the ability to hear and remember, I think, songs, like Nancy was watching Showboat last night, you know, and she's singing the words to knows the tunes and everything. She hasn't, you know, this was filmed from 1953 or something. So she has that terrific ability to, you know, she's very musical.
You should buy the music for Showboat and play for her.
Sing, we can do duets. So I was going to play that. I was going to play this one here.
Okay. We're in no rush.
I think, you know, let me see how this goes, and we can see how this goes.
What's it feel like to take an uncooperative piece of dough between your two hands and try to knead it, compress it, extend it, compress? It's offering resistance to you. It doesn't want to compress. It doesn't want to elongate, and yet you're making it do that. And you go, dee-la-dee. That's nice. Now, when we go from the second note and this measure,
I can't do that. I'm really trying to get this without rolling it.
who cares?
I can't roll it.
Now, when you go from this note to the next one, pretend the notes don't want to move.
I know what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
So Erna, as you can see, suggested on these holding this and not holding the pedal, as opposed to, and I'm kind of,
Whichever way you do it, they're both okay. as long as the C sharp in the bass never, it may be gone, but it's not forgotten. Just keep hearing it throughout the. It doesn't matter if you held it or not. As long as in your imagination, it's still there.
So that's pretty key. Mm-hmm. That bass. And the other note, I think, is I'm trying to bring out this. Whoops.
Use what we talked about in legato today. Much better. Now, the first note to the second note, that's good legato, but coming back up to the next note is not as legato. Uh-huh.
Yeah, you want to break that. I mean, it's so the pedaling is.
Just the only thing I'm not quite getting, beat 3 to beat 4. It doesn't seem as legato as beat 2 to beat 3. That's not bad.
Whoops.
Sorry.
Messing it up.
Sorry.
I don't know it. That's the problem.
So you'll get to know it. What is the significance that in the first two measures, the bass tone lasted the whole measure, literally or figuratively, but now it's reiterated. Something emotional is happening more so in measure 3. It's a cadence. It's the end of the phrase.
This. Okay.
So I'm beginning to enjoy the legato from the upper to the lower and the lower to the upper. So again, this to this, you're playing more legato. That to
You wanna
that
break that.
is not. No, you don't want to break it. It sounded. I mean, I'd like the legato
right
to. I'd like the legato to go both from up to down and down to up.
So I don't.
That's legato, but now do from this to that. Now the legato upwards. Within the parameters of the diminuendo. Aha, you see you broke the line there. You can if you want, but it should be a decision.
So yeah, because it is. Well, this is sort of holding.
So play me just the third beat going to the fourth, and do it a few times. 3, 4. No, that's 2, 3.
Okay.
That's it. Do that again. 3, 4. You know, I'm missing one of the connections. The top note there is what? A C sharp? And the bottom note here is a C sharp. So the real legato is between the two C sharps.
Right.
No, you see, you lifted your hand and came back down again. Now just make that connection. Almost. You instinctively come up. Now stay down, stay down. Almost.
Well, you got to come up to hit the note again, right?
Yeah. Subliminally. That was better. Almost. I guess what I'm saying is don't make the piece too much like this. And here's the first measure. Da-dum, dee-dum.
Okay.
As against dee-da, dee-dum. Did you hear a difference?
Yeah, the second one is nicer.
Okay, because that involved a legato from the second note E to the third note F double sharp. Legato here, I'm just where the piece seems to be divided. Yeah, that's all it would take to keep that flowing. Oh, beautiful. You don't want to get the feeling that you're accenting the G sharps. Just pure legato. And recede a little, and recede a little, and recede a little, and recede a little.
Well, it's also getting softer.
That's why I said recede.
Yes.
Better. Almost. And now, just play that F sharp at the beginning of the next measure. Don't try to rush it in any way. No, that's still too blatant.
The F sharp.
Well, play these notes. It's very, and the C sharp and the G. No, this note's right there. That's very barren sound. And you don't want it to stick out like a sore thumb because it's missing notes that would make it more lovely.
So I'm not sure what you're saying.
All right, well, play this chord as written. So play this chord. All right, now add as E natural in the left hand to this chord. No? You just to that chord. Can you just, that's it. Now play all those notes together. That's richer.
Let's see. So
It's the richness of this chord. Sorry, with my tremor. Now, richify it here. Right?
but I should change the pedal here too, right?
Sure, don't worry about that. It's just that the next chord, see, that sounds a little barren, but not as barren as before. Aha! You adjusted for the barrenness of that chord. No, it's still a little
So
barren.
I want to hear, because this is down up, what I want to hear
Or, play that again.
is, because the E is not, so you want to hear the E, but it's not
It's not really there.
there.
But the E is the note that gives it the most character. That's the third of the chord. Now, if you add the E, yeah, that's another way around it.
I just hold the E.
You can do that too.
Gee,
Made quite a difference, didn't it? Now, breathe. That's good. Yeah, don't rush into the F sharp. You just sort of evaporate here, raise your arm, and then come down and play the F sharp, and then take whatever time you need to get over there. That F sharp can just be a disembodied
the
note.
F sharp, you mean this?
The lower one, in the bottom of the chord in the left hand.
Oh, down here.
Yeah, you don't have to go ba-ba. You can go bump, dum. Exactly. Beautiful. Take your time and breathe.
So now, since I'm rolling it,
I like it best when you play the F sharp by itself and then the other notes together like that. And just don't be ashamed to play that F sharp. It's almost as if you're having a competition. Hi, I'm the downbeat.
yeah.
But no, I'm the downbeat. It's like you have a split infinitive, a split downbeat there. That's it. Now you've got two competing downbeats, which is perfect. That sounds a little too contrived.
actually holding, I think I understand what you're saying now, because if you release that E and the pedal, it really dries up.
Right, it's just a dry sound, and I don't know if that's the sound he really wanted there.
Okay, so I guess I'm being too, again, my visual perfectionism
Ah, I get that. Totally get what you're saying.
is controlling this. You know, I mean, when I was starting this earlier.
Nice. Let your ear lead you. Now take your time on that F sharp. You can actually bring your whole hand down there. Instead of trying to just stretch, yeah, do that. That'll be bad. And then make sure that the other notes in the chord come out as loud as the F sharp did. As loud as the lower F sharp. That's better balance. And there's nothing in the visual appearance of that would tell you to do that.
Other than Scriabin had a really big hand, right? He probably just played it as a single chord.
Yeah, the nerve of him.
So,
Now, the first legato's nice. Now here's the second legato. Yes.
so you know, it's interesting. I want to.
Yeah, you're getting this effect. Da-dum, da-dum. It's a little like two notes and two notes.
And you don't want, you know,
It's going to sound that way anyway.
that's kind of the thing because it's if I break it just.
All of those sounded good to me.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I mean, I like that better than this,
Yeah.
which is too much of a.
You know what a hemiola is? It's a fancy word for groups of two notes to appear in a context where it's been three notes at a time. So you've been going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then suddenly you go 1, 2, 1, 2. But it's still within the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this is 1, 2, 1, 2, but it's within a 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's a hard concept. I'm trying to think of where I can give you a better example. 2, 3, 1. That's nice. Move your whole, don't move just your pinky now. That's it.
That sounded a little mushy.
Because of the pedal?
Just kind of, I don't know if it was the pedal or I was trying to hold.
Do you get a sense of where the chords are changing? Let me just.
Well, I think that's part of the problem.
The first two eighth notes belong with each other, the downbeat and that one. Now, let me just look at that. Sometimes I can't think unless I'm doing it. You let me know when you need to go. So this and this, that's a G sharp major chord. When you go to this, that's an A major chord, but it's over this pedal point. So first you have, then then you have, then you have, and it's hard to make each of those, sorry, especially if you play a wrong note. It's a hard measure. But it would also come out more naturally if you just made broad circles in your dum, da, dum, dee, da, da. 1 and 2 and 1. Notice I switched the way I counted from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 1 and 2 and. Still 6 words. But different sense. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Sorry, that keeps.
So if you started the first measure with that same mechanism, let's go.
I'm not sure that would work. 1 and 2 and. And I'm just giving you what's going on in my head. I mean, this is so subjective. Nothing I'm saying needs to be the way I'm saying it.
Right.
I mean, if you played like I did, played a B instead of a B sharp, then I could say that was incorrect. It's supposed to be B sharp, and there would be very little arguing with the piece, unless you're a musicologist and says yes. But I've seen another edition of it where it was a natural.
Well, I like the way you were bringing out the G sharp.
Here, right?
Yeah.
Not in loudness as much as the fact that I wanted it to sustain through the measure. See, I don't rush that. I just play this note and then I go there. I think that's better than going. If you have to break it, I believe in says, yeah, I know I'm breaking it. My hand can't stretch that, but I'm not going to try to pretend that I'm covering it up by making it happen as fast as possible. I don't think this piece wants that type of angularity in it.
Yeah.
Here at the end, it's another. Here you got those C sharps are just there, they're just there, and then they the C sharps last like that G sharp does.
So here, the way he has double F's,
Sforzando.
double S sforzando, that is for the C sharp, and the rest of these are P. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. You have the sforzando and the C sharp, but what's the P signify? The other.
I would think so, because it's here and it's there.
So the way I'm playing that at the end is, I mean, these last. So I'm playing the C sharp really sforzando.
You can get the same effect by playing all 5 notes and then just.
That's what I've been doing, yeah.
That was what the difference. So you just get used to this. And then just keep hearing. There's a Chopin etude that ends a little like that. Let's see. Let's see. Something like that. This whole lesson has been my opinions. You do get that. I'm wielding an awful.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
And it comes out of my mouth like my father, who always sounded like he knew exactly like what he was talking about.
You probably.
He may have, yes. Well, as the director of Carnegie Hall, he had to act like that.
Kind of knew, yeah, that's what was going on.
Beautiful piece. I mean, this is so exquisite. So this is Opus 11, and they're both Opus 11s, I say.
They're just different preludes, I guess.
Yeah.
I've got a couple others, 2 or 3 others. On this list, just one question about
Sure.
this. I'm just wondering how. Well, I guess I just have to I haven't been working on it that much, like I said, but
Doesn't mean we can't look at it.
because that, well, so this whole thing is going to be. I'm just trying to figure out the.
Find the music in it. Play it slowly and find where the melody is. That's an important note. Yes, that D sharp's an important one. Try this for a moment. In the left hand, play near middle C, this A major triad. And as you do this, can you just play the A major scale but start on the C sharp? I'm sorry, while holding that, let the right hand play this.
Oh.
Good. Now, if you listen really carefully as you do that, you'll hear that this is a dissonance with that. This is not a dissonance. That's a little bit of a dissonance. That's a dissonance, yeah. Now, with that in mind, steer your way through that measure.
Okay.
That was nice. It can be a little less soft.
Well, that's horizontal.
Well, yes, and it says PPP, but I'm talking about the difference between talking like this and talking like this. There's still resonance, even though I'm talking softly.
I think I'm playing it. See, I don't know the notes. That's part of the problem. It's just.
Oh, okay. That's better. And what your left hand is doing is basically sustaining that A major chord.
Yeah.
All those notes are A major chord notes.
Right.
So it's just like keeping that chord alive. So that's your first real dissonance. And make sure that I hear you going up to the scale, to the, I know I'm not playing the right notes, but you know,
Let's see.
there's usually a note there that keeps, in the right hand notes, that keeps it, yeah. Those are the notes that need to fight through.
Yeah, so.
See, that note can be a little more.
So this is a little out of scale.
Yes, it's the Lydian mode.
Oh, okay.
And they did weird things in Lydia.
Okay. I'll fool around with that in mind. I mean, I just.
With my eyes the way they are now, I'd almost take one of those magnifying glasses and just lay it over that. So notice, that's right. Those notes all lie within the Lydian mode, starting on an A.
So, yeah. So what I want to hear really is the that progression.
Yes. And realize that all the other notes in your right hand are just notes from same A major chord
right.
that your left hand is playing.
Right.
So it's all about a sustained chord and this aspiring upwards in a Lydian mode.
Okay. Good. Well, that was fun.
It was.
Good, Joe. Thank you. Once again, all my stuff here. A lot going on in this lesson.
I can't do that with everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that legato. Well, just a lot of
Hey, if one thing clicks in at a lesson,
just a lot of
that's
fun stuff. Yeah, right. Got to repeat it a few times.